A very warm welcome coming up on tonight's BBC London. Calling for tighter regulation of dockless e-bikes. Celebrity chef Aldo Zilli tells us how his 84-year-old mother-in-law suffered life-changing injuries after a cyclist ran a red light.
I feel like I've lost half of her through someone that is irresponsible riding a bike in London, basically. And that's why I'm upset, and I want to take it forward. I want to take it further, to be honest.
Also on the programme. A call to freeze the fees, please. Parents in Hackney protest against council plans to withdraw subsidised childcare. Plus,
more than 1,000 school children from around the country have descended upon this iconic London cricket pitch to try and beat a world record. Will they do it? Find out later.
feeling lonely, we bring you the story of the Hertfordshire owl who keeps calling for a mate. Hello and a very good evening to you. We start tonight with a family now calling for tighter regulation of dockless e-bikes. Celebrity chef Aldo Zilli shared how his 84-year-old mother-in-law suffered life-changing injuries after an e-bike collision. A cyclist ran a red light when she was crossing the road in Lewisham. The family has been speaking for the first time since it happened to our reporter Anna O'Neill.
For 84-year-old Maureen Welsh, life has changed completely since October last year when she was knocked down by someone on a Lime bike in Lewisham.
I was going to aqua aerobics and meet some friends and that. Then we'd generally go for a bit of lunch after.
Previously fit and active, Maureen's life is now mainly confined to home, which has been specially adapted for the now disabled pensioner.
I got off the bus, I walked a few yards and the lights was red, and obviously the traffic stopped. I managed to walk a few steps and all of a sudden this bike come in between the buses and went straight into me and knocked me over.
Maureen suffered a broken leg which required surgery and 5 weeks in hospital. Her daughter is struggling to come to terms with what has happened.
The fact that she was safe to cross that road and this happened is unacceptable.
You like the tea? This is my first cup of tea I've ever made.
Her son-in-law is the celebrity chef Aldo Zilli, who used to take Maureen to Italy every year. For now, that's out of the question.
Maureen, my mother-in-law, I feel like I've lost half of her through someone that is irresponsible riding a bike in London, basically. And that's why I'm upset, and I want to take it forward. I want to take it further, to be honest.
What does taking it further look like then, Aldo, for you?
Well, I want to go and meet the mayor.
But the Mayor of London doesn't currently have responsibility for dockless e-bikes. A spokesperson told us,
the government have announced plans to provide cities with the powers to manage dockless e-bikes, and improved safety should be at the centre of better regulation in the future.
The responsibility for dockless e-bikes lies with the Department for Transport, which told us dangerous cycling is completely unacceptable and a key priority for this government.
That's why the government is proposing new offences and penalties for dangerous cycling, updating legislation that's over 160 years old to ensure that the tiny minority who recklessly disregard others face the full force of the law.
A spokesperson for Lime said it takes incidents of this nature very seriously and is deeply shocked and saddened by what has happened.
And Anna joins me now. Hi there. Incidents like this with e-bikes are increasing. What recourse do victims have when something goes wrong?
Well, in Maureen's case, even though everything was captured on CCTV by the bus that she'd just been travelling on, the perpetrator made off, and the Met Police haven't been able to trace them, because they haven't been able to successfully manage to get in touch with the right department at Lime. So any potential criminal case has been closed. Lime told us the Met hadn't used the correct secure portal to report the incident. So you can see if it's difficult for them to get in touch with each other, how difficult it might be for the ordinary person. But in terms of compensation for injuries, pedestrians who are hit by an e-bike like Maureen, or cyclists who have an incident with a bike, perhaps are then involved in the crash themselves, they have quite a lot of protection under the law. Osborne Solicitors in Camden has seen personal injury cases rise exponentially in the last 6 months.
The key thing to do, I think, is to report the case to Lime, and you can then still make a claim against Lime's insurance policy. We've had a number of cases like that where we've been successful, and Lime's insurance policy will still deal with that claim, and you're able to claim compensation for personal injury and other losses as you ordinarily would be able to if you were hit by a car.
And just to say, the Zilli family are not the only celebrities who are having bike trouble at the moment. 92-year-old actress Joan Collins posted a photo on social media this weekend trying to navigate through a pavement full of Lime bikes in London with the hashtag "Pavements are for pedestrians." It's been liked more than 6,000 times, Riz. So I have a feeling we'll be hearing more of these sorts of stories.
And I have a feeling she's not alone in that thinking. Thank you very much for now, Anna O'Neill. You're watching BBC London. Plenty more to come this Monday evening for you.
I've spent the day at a farm in Hertfordshire watching a lonely little owl. His is a saga that can teach us so much about our impact on the landscape.
As we've been hearing this hour, Israel and Iran have continued to carry out bombing raids. The Israeli military says it launched a series of strikes against Tehran, including on a nuclear facility and prison. And thousands of people in Israel were without power following Iranian strikes. Here in London, it's also a tense and worrying time for many families who have links to the region. Vincent McAviney has been hearing from some Iranians in the capital.
My name is Rosa. I'm 23 years old, and although I was born in London, my entire family is in Iran.
Rosa and her parents are refugees. Communication with families still in Iran has been intermittent. They're not certain of their safety, but have received some footage.
So this is on the street in Tehran?
Yes.
And then rockets start firing?
Yeah. It was 2 a.m. when my cousin called my father to say that Israel has attacked us, and she lives in Tehran. And just to get that call was absolutely terrifying, knowing there's nothing for us to do.
What do you think the world should be doing for the Iranian people now?
I don't think that the US is going to free the Iranian people. I do not believe that Israel is going to free the Iranian people, but only the Iranian people are able to do this.
My name is Barbod Jahed. I'm 34 and I'm from Tehran originally.
Barbod and his father were visiting Tehran when the conflict broke out. Unsure how long it would last and how severe it would be, they headed to the Turkish border to escape.
It was quite loud, especially from 2 a.m. There was a lot of, terrified reactions, and the same sort of thing continued. On the third day, it was quiet, but the third night was more of the same. I could hear the anti-aircraft weapons being fired. But it was bright flashes. We heard people screaming, and I was very worried, thinking there could have been casualties right next to where we were.
It's a very fluid situation, and you're struggling now to communicate with loved ones who are in the country. What do you hope will happen now?
I'm not very hopeful. The regime is much more fearful for their own existence, and everything has been heightened and escalated, and so reprisals could be very violent. And for that reason, and that reason alone, I think first we need to de-escalate.
Vincent McAviney, BBC News.
Well, our reporter Victoria Hollins joins me now. And Vic, clearly a worrying time for Iranian families in London and those with families in Israel, but also the wider Middle East.
Absolutely, an incredibly volatile situation across the Middle East, as we've been hearing. We know this afternoon that Qatar temporarily closed its airspace, and in the last hour we've been hearing the news that 6 missiles from Iran have headed towards Doha. We know yesterday as well that a number of European airlines cancelled cancelled flights to Doha and Dubai as well. Airlines, of course, avoiding Iranian and Israeli airspace. It follows Israel launching those strikes on Iran 10 days ago, as you say, and Iran's subsequent military response. Now, many Londoners have got relatives or who've been there themselves in Israel, and they've been trying to get home. Israel closed its airspace, as I said. We know today an RAF flight did leave from Tel Aviv, and it went to Cyprus, and then the passengers will go on from there. That's the first of those sort of flights that we've seen come out. Now, further flights, we do expect there could be more of them if the demand is there. And British nationals have been told they should continue to register via the Register Your Presence portal, and that will help determine that decision.
Yeah, that's a really important thing to do, as you say there. Meanwhile, here today in the capital, there were protests by Palestine Action.
That's right. Hundreds of people turned out in central London today for this protest. Under the banner of Palestine Action, though there were quite a lot of different groups involved. They went to Trafalgar Square after the police had banned them from protesting outside Parliament. It follows comments from the head of the Met at the weekend saying he was shocked and frustrated at planned protests after the news that the government was thinking of essentially banning this group. Now, today we heard that that was the case. The Home Secretary, Ebike Cooper, is going to prescribe Palestine Action under anti-terror law. Now, essentially what that means is it brands the organisation a terrorist organisation. That does need to go through Parliament, but it would make membership of and support of the group illegal. Now, it follows the action by members of Palestine, of the organisation, who broke into RAF Brize Norton in Oxfordshire last week. They spray painted these military planes. We saw pictures from there. Now, Ebike Cooper described that vandalism as a disgraceful attack. She said the group had a long history of unacceptable criminal damage. On the back of that, Palestine Action said, when our government fails to uphold their moral and legal obligations, it is the responsibility of ordinary citizens to take direct action. Now, to be clear, this does only relate to that organisation, Palestine Action. It doesn't affect lawful protest groups and other organisations campaigning on Middle Eastern issues. Just one last point to make. We asked the Mayor what he thought about this decision, and he said, a spokesman for him said, the Mayor has always been clear that protest is a cornerstone of our democracy, but how it's done matters. Protests must always be lawful, peaceful and safe.
OK, that coming in just from the Mayor of London. Victoria, thanks very much for bringing us up to date on that. And just to say, you can follow developments in the Middle East. It is a fast-moving situation, as we know, on BBC News Online, of course, or by using the BBC News app. Now, 2 weeks today, London and the country will mark the 20th anniversary of the 7/7 bombings, a day which changed our capital forever. One man, a 27-year-old, was on his way to work that day, at the time working at a building near Liverpool Street. He missed his usual overground train and so took the Aldgate tube when the bomb went off. Alpa Patel has been speaking to him about his memories of that day.
Loud bang, a loud screech, big white flash, and our carriage went through the flash, which ended up being the explosion as we passed through it. And then, yeah, the train come to a screeching halt. I remember being down there at the time, and there were times where it was eerily quiet.
Was it completely dark?
No, there were lights that lit the tunnel. They come in to the carriage, but visibility was poor. There was dust, there was smoke. I did what I could. I wished I could do more. I so much wished I could have done more. I did my best on the day. I stuck with what I knew, the training that I had as a first aider, and it is just basic first aid training that I had. There's also people there that I couldn't help with first aid while I was looking after the young lady in my arms, just to try and take people's minds off of it, you know. And I spoke to some people and we said, oh, we get a coffee after this, or stuff like that, and I mentioned, oh, your hair still looks nice, and bits and pieces, just to try and keep it normal. But we all knew it wasn't.
How much do you think about the people that you met that day and who you looked after that day?
Very often, you know. There are times where I am out and about and I'm enjoying myself. I do just look up and give them a thought. And it isn't just about what went on in the carriage. it's the aftermath that comes with it as well. I like to think I've dealt with it okay. I've had my moments. There's been some very dark times before in the past. And if you was to ask me, would I do it again? Yeah, I would. I wouldn't have any qualms about it, you know. But there's times where things pop up that nobody would realise. There might be a smell, or there might be a sound, or just, yeah, something that pops up and it takes you back.
You don't like being called a hero, do you? Even though you helped several people that day.
It's not a word I'd ever use on myself, no.
Is that because you think most people would have done what you did?
No. There was lots of people that carried on walking, and that's up to them. I don't expect anyone else to have stopped off. I don't feel that I'd done anything out of the ordinary.
What's your message to us all on the 20th anniversary as a survivor of 7/7?
Yeah, let's make sure that those people that have passed away, that were civilians going about their daily lives, are remembered. Let's not forget their names. Just try and be kind to people. Each and every person you meet, just try and be kind to them.
Stephen's message there. And if you're happy to share your memories of 7/7, particularly how people helped one another that day, please do get in touch. Scan the QR code on your screen to send us a WhatsApp, or you can just drop us an email to hello@bbclondon@bbc.co.uk. And we do appreciate that anniversaries like this can be triggering. So if you or someone you know needs advice or support, the BBC has a list of organisations that can help. Just search BBC Action Line. To Hackney now, where a protest is underway outside the town hall. It's over council plans to withdraw subsidies for childcare provision for working families earning over £55,000 a year. Some parents say the removal of subsidies to take effect from September will more than double their monthly childcare costs. We can join Nikki Ford now, who can tell us more. Hi, Nikki.
Hi, Riz. Yes, well, there has been a noisy protest here. I think they've all gone home to do bath time now, but there were parents here with placards saying freeze the fees. And what they're referring to is Hackney Council's decision to remove subsidies from their childcare provision for families earning over £55,000. Now, families in that bracket, middle income earners, they say that that doesn't actually go very far when you think of the cost of living and the cost of housing here. And since the policy was announced, there have been various demonstrations. I attended one a few weeks ago where I caught up with mum Nina and baby Simone, who's 11 months old. She was hoping to go back to work full time, but now is not sure she'll be able to.
We're just thinking of starting full time, but now we might have to reduce to 3 days because we can't really afford the nursery after the fee hikes. So, well, I might have to reduce my hours, so we would have to go work maybe 1 day less a week, which of course affects our income and also kind of our job prospects.
We've got another baby on the way, so my wife is going to be on maternity leave until this time next year, but obviously when she goes back, she can only go back to work 3 days a week because of childcare, which is going to mean a real drop in our income, and it just means, you know, the children are losing out as well.
Hackney is a place where a lot of international family moved, so we don't have families that can support, and so children's centres, schools are all what we have, so we need them to be in place for us to be able to work and to pay the mortgage, to pay the rent. And we know that, you know, the cost of housing is incredibly.
Well, for parent Louisa there, she says that the extra money will cost her £400 more a month. Now, Hackney Council will say that they've introduced this will introduce it in September to coincide with the government's rollout of their extended childcare of 30 additional hours for 38 weeks of the year, and that is for all eligible children. But for parents here, they say that they'd already factored that in, and so therefore that they will still end up paying more. Hackney Council say that they are one of the very few boroughs to even have offered subsidies, but the parents here are asking them to reconsider, to pause and reflect so that they can maybe change their mind and take into consideration the cost of raising a family here in Hackney.
OK, Nikki from Hackney, thank you. Next, let's head to the home of cricket, where 1,000 London school children today were attempting to set a new world record for the largest cricket lesson. It's all part of a special anniversary of a charity that helps get people into the sport in state schools. Did they succeed? Matt Graveling reports from Lords.
The bell at Lords has signalled the imminent arrival of the world's best players. Today, teams from across the country walked out onto the grass. It may not have been an official match, but there was still a world title up for grabs.
This iconic cricket pitch in London is used to seeing 13 players at a time. Today, more than 1,000. This is a world record attempt for the biggest ever cricket lesson.
The event was being held by Chance to Shine, a charity using cricket to enhance the lives of school children.
It's the ultimate team sport, but actually the individual within the team sport matters so much. So you can be the batter, you can be the bowler, you're fielding, you're catching, but actually you're also a team working together.
So what's the current record? Well, 3 years ago, 645 people had a cricket lesson in Birmingham. Today's teams came from 35 different schools. And on hand to make sure they had the will and the skill, the heart to be a winner, was TV's gladiator, Fury.
There's so many variety of kids here. You know, there might be kids who are shy, like myself. I was very shy as a kid. So it's a great way to meet new people, work together, learn new skills. So I think that's really cool, and just to have a fun day out.
Chance to Shine was founded in 2005, and each year the charity visits more than 4,000 state primary schools. The total number of people taught would fill Lords 250 times over. That's more than 7 million children.
For me, this is the most important day of the year for these kids. It's an opportunity they would never have had. And for me, to see what it will do for their confidence, everything like that, it's a very special day for our kids at this school.
What does sport mean to you?
It means achieving, encouraging and teamwork. I enjoy learning about different sports and learning how you play different sports. I didn't even know I will get to play on this pitch. I thought it was the other pitch where other kids play, but it's actually the real pitch, so I'm glad that I'm here.
So, it's safe to say everyone had fun. But what about the all-important question?
Have you broken that record? Today, children, organisers, you have achieved a total of 943. You've got a new record.
Well, how's that for a result? 943, a new world record, and a great birthday present for the charity celebrating 2 decades. Chance to Shine, 20, not out. Matt Graveling, BBC London.
Fabulous, what a result. Well, staying outdoors for a moment, and this gorgeous little fella who conservationists in Hertfordshire say could be the UK's loneliest. He lives at Wood Oaks Farm in Maple Cross and sadly lost his partner and owlets, so he spends his time calling for a new mate. So far, they've gone unanswered, but now a plan has been hatched, as Wendy Hurrell explains.
He called and called, but got no reply. This lonely little owl will spend the rest of the year alone. This species of owl has declined by up to 25% in the last 3 decades, which is why Liam built him a box on Wood Oaks Farm in Hertfordshire, which includes a camera to keep a close eye on him.
Where is the bird box?
Yeah, so if you just take a look at the tree straight across there.
I got it.
There you go, yeah. So unfortunately, we've just missed him because he's just gone inside the box. I don't blame him, to be honest, because it's quite windy out here today.
He's cosy in there.
He's very cosy in there. We're already seeing numbers decline in the royal parks because of the number of jackdaws and parakeets. You know, they take over the natural nest hollows that are created in the beautiful oak trees that we can see across the parks. And anything that we can do in order to help, working with landowners, working with farmers, creating those homes and those habitats, and hopefully, fingers crossed, you know, those numbers will be up on the rise.
Since Liam has been monitoring this little owl, it's been quite the saga. He did have a mate, but she died, leaving him to raise their chick all on his own. There was another female, they had 2 unsuccessful broods, and then she was found dead as well. And if nothing else, all this emphasises the fragility of life for these animals.
So Wood Oaks is undergoing a transformation to raise awareness for nature-friendly farming.
What we did is we started adding in habitat banks in effect. So what you have is the hedgerow went right through the middle, and we've got hedgerows all the way around the edges, and then the wildflower strips that you see on the right hand side. We've got the hum of the M25 in the background here. We're surrounded by quite urban centres, so we're kind of this little isolated island, and so the owl calling and calling and calling earlier this year, there's no other owl that can hear because of the noise and the disconnection.
Could he potentially find a mate going into next year? We don't know. We've obviously got the cameras here so we can watch and monitor everything that happens, and hoping that he'll find a female for next year.
Meanwhile, the little owl will be watching, hopefully, from his barn window. Wendy Hurrell, BBC London.
I know, we will keep you updated. Right, let's catch up with the weather. And Kate, hi there, what do you got?
Well, it's not been a bad day today, not a bad start to the week at all, actually. It has been, of course, a little bit fresher than it was last week. For some of us, thankfully, it's been a bit fresher. Temperatures today, 23.8 over at Heathrow. But we had blue sky this morning, a little bit more cloud built in through the middle part of the day. But that broke up through the afternoon, and we're heading into the evening with some late sunshine. So some clear skies, at least to start tonight. We will gradually see a little more cloud building in towards the end of the night, especially out to the west, to the north. But staying clear in the east. Temperatures overnight still very warm. Unlike the days, it's still going to be quite sticky at night time. 13 to 15 Celsius, the minimum temperature. Now, that cloud that starts to spread in, you might just get a bright start in the east, but it will continue to move south and eastwards through the day. Now, it's not especially low, so we still should get some brighter spells, but it is actually a front, so we might get an odd spot of rain, nothing more than that. And again, through the afternoon, that shall break up and we'll get some sunshine. Temperature's not bad tomorrow, 25 Celsius. Now, as we head into Wednesday, it is going to be a particularly warm day on Wednesday. You see this cold front, it slides away overnight Tuesday into Wednesday itself. So you might get some cloud to start with Wednesday morning, but it will slowly start to disappear. You can see that sliding out to the north and east. So some sunshine to follow, and temperatures on Wednesday are going to get quite warm, quite humid actually. We're looking at the high 20s again, so creeping back up, 28 Celsius in central London. Then overnight things could get quite dramatic. We've got this front coming up from the south, and that could bring us some humid, muggy air, but also some unstable air, which means we could get some thunderstorms through the night and into Thursday morning. Those storms, though, will clear through Thursday afternoon, and we should get some sunshine. Then temperatures warmer again into next week. Riz.
Kate, thank you. And that is it. But check out our website. Maybe you can help us find the hero delivery driver who helped passengers trapped on a South London train in scorching temperatures at the weekend by throwing them bottles of water. From me and everyone on the team, thanks for watching and enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.